Jungle Cruise. Now, Jungle Cruise stars Emily Blunt, Dwayne Johnson, Jack Whitehall, with Paul Giamatti and Jesse Plemons. And basically, the film follows Emily Blunt's character and her brother, played by Jack Whitehall in the film, as they go to this jungle in the middle of nowhere to try and find something with the help of Dwayne Johnson's character. And at the same time, though, they face problems along the way, problems with Paul Giamatti's character and Jesse Plemons' character as well. And honestly, that's my interpretation of the plot for Jungle Cruise. I mean, it may as well be the plot for Jungle Cruise, because I've got to admit here, I found this film very disappointing, and that's coming from someone who's a sucker for a good action-adventure film, because honestly, some of my favourite films of all time are the Indiana Jones films, and at the same time though, I'm a fan of the Mummy films, like the late 90s, you know, starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, and at the same time though, I'm a fan of One Manson and Stone, and at the same time though, I'm also a fan of another Disney movie. In fact, another Disney movie based on another Disney theme park ride. Have you guessed what it is yet? Pirates of the Caribbean. Well, I'm a fan of the first Pirates of the Caribbean anyway. The second and third aren't bad in my opinion, but aren't great either. And the fourth and fifth Pirates of the Caribbean films are very bad. But I'm a fan of the first one though. But the thing is though, Jungle Cruise just left me disappointed and underwhelmed. I just thought it was overstuffed, forgettable, and honestly, really underwhelming. I went to go watch this film yesterday at the cinema, and after coming out, I just felt really underwhelmed and really disappointed, to the point that I kind of sat there thinking, ugh, why wasn't that better? Because like I said before, I'm a fan of like Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean and so on and so on, but the thing is though, when you're watching the film, and you get all these blatant references and these blatant copies to films like Indiana Jones and films like Pirates of the Caribbean, and even the second Hobbit film for that matter, I was just kind of sitting there thinking, I'd much rather watch Indiana Jones, the second Hobbit film, or any of the Pirates of the Caribbean films. And by the way, I'm not a huge fan of all the Pirates of the Caribbean films, but I'd much rather watch any of the Pirates of the Caribbean films over this one. Honestly, it just left me with a sour taste in my mouth, and I really didn't want it. And at the same time though, I think it's got so many other big problems as well. And like I said before, it's overstuffed, it's forgettable, and honestly, it just really disappoints. But anyway, before I get into the reasons it disappoints me, first of all, let's talk about some of the perks of this film. First of all, I think all the performances are great. I think everyone's great in this film. I mean, she's always great in everything she's in. At the same time though, also Dwayne Johnson's actually good in the film. And the thing is though, Dwayne Johnson, yet again, plays himself in this film like he does in all the films he's in. But the thing is though, it actually kind of worked in this film. I didn't mind it so much in this film. At the same time though, the chemistry between Emily Blunt and Dwayne Johnson is quite fun to watch in the film. At the same time though, Jack Whitehall is actually quite funny to watch in the film as well. But the thing is though, I'm a fan of Jack Whitehall as a comedian. I think he's actually really funny. But the thing is though, I wasn't sure how his comedic delivery was going to work in this film, but actually it worked quite a lot. I'm not going to lie, I laughed quite a lot at him in the film. In particular, I didn't laugh at most of the jokes, but I did laugh at Jack Whitehall, you know, intentionally throughout most of the film. And at the same time though, I just thought Paul Giamatti was great, you know, chewing up scenery in the best way possible. But he's criminally underused in this film. And at the same time though, Jesse Plemons is also great, chewing up scenery in the best way possible, as well as the evil German villain. But that's the problem with his character. He's the evil German villain. Where have you heard that before? And honestly, all the actors are doing great in the script they got, and you know, it's visually quite nice to watch. It's a colourful film, and the visuals are quite nice to watch and everything. Even though some of the CGI is actually quite bad in my opinion. And at the same time though, I did enjoy the first half an hour of the film. Even so, some of the action sequences, I couldn't actually tell what was going on because the editing was so abrupt all over the place. Even so, some of the action sequences were badly edited in my opinion. I didn't mind watching the first half an hour of the film. I was kind of enjoying it to a degree. But then after the first half an hour, it just became an overstuffed mess in my opinion. And I just completely zoned out with it. And before I get into my many big problems with the film, and before I go into a bit of ranting and everything, I should say here, in the end, this is a family film. I can see many families enjoying this film. I can see kids enjoying this film as well. And if you're one of those people who have seen this film and you've enjoyed it, I'm really happy for you, because you found something in this film that I just simply didn't find, and I'm really happy for you. I celebrate that you really enjoyed this film. Personally though, I wish I did. I wish I came out of this film thinking, oh wow, that was such a great action-adventure film. But instead, I came out thinking to myself, I'd much rather go and watch Raiders Last Ark or Indiana Jones Last Crusade right now, or even Pirates of the Caribbean for that matter. I really didn't want to. I wanted to come out thinking, whoa, what a nice action-packed Disney adventure. In the end, I came out of the cinema feeling the opposite. In fact, I felt like Disney was trying to make this their adventure of the summer, if you get what I mean. But in the end, actually, I think the Suicide Squad has won that reign. But anyway, if you enjoyed the film, I'm happy for you, but personally, I just didn't. And let's talk about my many big problems to do with Jungle Cruise. First of all, let's talk about that big one we talked about earlier on in this review already. The fact that it reminds you of films like Indiana Jones and reminds you of films like Pirates of the Caribbean, but the thing is though, not in a good way. They're blatant copies on screen of those films, and you just kind of sit there thinking, I'd much rather watching those films over this film. Like, let's talk about Pirates of the Caribbean a sec. There's so many copies of, you know, the second two Pirates of the Caribbean films in this film. Honestly, they really are. Like, one stage in this film, they go and meet the Navy natives, and honestly, cinematography wise, it's shot just like when you go, I mean, you know, when you go and see Barbossa alive again in the second Pirates of the Caribbean film, the commercial way there, but if you haven't seen the second Pirates of the Caribbean film, you've had so many years to do so. You know, the second Pirates of the Caribbean film came out in 2006, but anyway, get my point there. But anyway, yeah, honestly, when you go and meet the natives in this film, it's shot very similar to when you find out that Barbossa is alive in the second Pirates of the Caribbean film. And honestly, I literally just turned to my brother in the cinema who was watching this with me and just went, it's the second Pirates of the Caribbean film. They're literally just copying this off the second Pirates of the Caribbean film. And at the same time though, you also meet these characters later on in the film who have basically like absorbed the jungle. Like, they have like snakes slithering through their body and everything. And honestly, I quite literally sat there and went, where's Davy Jones' locker? It's like the whole Davy Jones crew from the, you know, the second and third Pirates of the Caribbean films. And it's just like, that isn't original at all. It's literally like the writers of this film sat around and went, so in Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3, they had the Davy Jones crew who absorbed the sea and, like, you know, who were like pirates of the sea because they were quite literally part of the sea. So what are we going to do in this film? How about soldiers who have absorbed the jungle? It wasn't original. It really got annoying, to be honest, because I was just sat there thinking the Davy Jones stuff is so much better in the second two Pirates of the Caribbean films than this, and this isn't original. I'm sat there thinking it's literally like Davy Jones' locker in the second two Pirates of the Caribbean films, but not in a good way. In this film, they've absorbed the jungle. In Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3, they've absorbed the sea. Get it there? It's big similarities, and not done in a great way, in my opinion. At the same time, though, this film blatantly copies off Indiana Jones in so many ways. Honestly, let's just talk about the fact that we have the evil German as the villain in this film. Where did they get that idea from? Was it Raiders of the Lost Ark? Was it Indiana Jones' Last Crusade? Doesn't really matter, because even those films have evil German villains as their main antagonists. Jesse Plemons' character is a straight up copy out of something like Raiders of the Lost Ark or Indiana Jones' Last Crusade, which is really annoying. I mean, he's not a Nazi in this film because this film is set in 1916, so he's not a Nazi. But at the same time, though, you kind of sit there and think, why did you done that? Why does it have an evil German as your villain in this film? Because it just doesn't make any sense. Because it just leaves you, know, scratching your head thinking, they've just copied off Indiana Jones, and not in a good way. Oh my god, that really annoyed me. Because honestly, when I was watching the film, I again turned to my brother in some scenes of the film and just went, well, they just copied off Indiana Jones. And honestly, like I said before, Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade are some of my favourite films of all time. And then you watch basically a worse version of the German villains from those films in this film, and it just leaves you with a sour taste in your mouth as well. And then let's talk about the musical score for the film. It's written by James Newton Howard. I'm a fan of James Newton Howard. He does really good scores for like films like Fantastic Beasts, which even though I'm not a fan of Fantastic Beasts, I do actually quite like the score for that film. And at the same time, though, he did a fantastic score, in my opinion, for the 2005 King Kong film directed by Peter Jackson. And I really like James Newton Howard's scores. But honestly, for this film, James Newton Howard wrote the best John Williams Indiana Jones score I've heard in a long while. And by the way, it's not even the best John Williams Indiana Jones. I think all the John Williams Indiana Jones scores are better than this one. Because honestly, James Newton Howard's score in this film sounds like it's going to go into the Indiana Jones theme in some parts. There's even one section of the film, I'm not joking, there's one section of the film where it just goes da 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 da. It was like, sis, you almost went into the Indiana Jones theme there. You practically did. And I was like, for God's sake. I'm someone, I know, for a lot of people the score is not really going to matter of the film, but I'm someone who loves John Williams scores. I'm someone who adores his Indiana Jones scores. Even John Williams score for the fourth Indiana Jones movie I like quite a lot, but oh my god, James Newton Howard just felt like he's blatantly copying off John Williams score for the Indiana Jones films, and in a really annoying way. But the thing is though, I was thinking about it, you know, John Powell did a score for Solo Star Wars Story, and he copies off John Williams' style in quite a nice way in the score for Solo Star Wars Story. I'm not a fan of the Solo Star Wars Story film, but I'm a fan of the score because John Powell used, you know, John Williams' melodies and motives quite nicely in that score for Solo Star Wars Story. That's what James Newton Howard should have done here. But in the end, he didn't. And the moments, like I said, when it feels like the score is going to go into the main Indiana Jones theme, and I'm just kind of like thinking, why? Why are you doing that? Make your own theme for this film. Oh my god, there's so many things like that in the film. At the same time, the third act of the film felt like it copied off, you know, the whole spider sequence in the second Hobbit film. And honestly, I'm a fan of the Hobbit films, so I was just kind of there thinking, I'd much rather watching the second Hobbit film over this film right now. And at the same time, though, let's talk about the action sequence in the film. I didn't have a clue what was going on in the action sequence of the film because Hollywood's got some obsession nowadays that people, they think that people are going to get bored in action sequences of films nowadays. So what you have in all these action sequences of Jungle Cruise is this really abrupt and really weird editing and kinetic editing and everything like that. To the point that you're like, I don't have a clue what's going on in the action sequence. Like, it almost feels in this film like we have to have 300 cuts every 30 seconds in the action sequences. Honestly, it really does. I was watching the opening action sequence of the film, I was there thinking, this would be great great if I knew what was going on in the action sequence. Honestly, what is Hollywood's obsession with doing, really fast-paced and kinetic editing in their action sequences nowadays? It's like to keep, the viewers are going to get bored. Honestly, they're not. Take a look at a film like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you have the big, fantastic airplane fight sequence of the film, one of the flying next to the airplane and everything. That's the first moment that Indiana Jones faces up against the henchman in that film. It's absolutely fantastic. Take a look at that action sequence. Spielberg doesn't just, really fast-paced editing and everything. Instead, he just lets the action flow. He edits when the action sequence needs to, and he just lets the action flow in the airplane fight sequence in Raiders of the Lost Ark. But in this film, every single action sequence feels like it's about, a million cuts every 30 seconds. It's really annoying. I didn't have a clue what's going on in the action sequences. And, for an action-adventure film, you want to know what's going on in the action sequences, but I just didn't. And at the same time, though, some of the CGI in the film is actually really poor, which was really unexpected from a big-budget Disney movie. I expected some of the CGI to be a lot better, and actually, the CGI was quite bad, actually, in some sequences, which really surprised me for a big budget Disney movie. And oh my god, this film feels so overstuffed. It really does. It really feels like Disney want their own Indiana Jones movie, which is weird because, they're kind of getting that at the moment, aren't they, really, with their own official Indiana Jones movie? Indiana Jones 5 is currently shooting with James Mangold directing. That movie is currently shooting. It's meant to come out next year. Fingers crossed it still does. What is the point? It feels like Disney wanted their own Indiana Jones movie with Jungle Cruise. It really does. And it's so weird that because Disney are making their own Indiana Jones movie right now. And oh my god, just back onto the criticisms that the film feels so overstuffed, because it really does. Like, it feels like Disney have sat down and watched all these big action adventure films and go, right, we need to have that in there, we need to have that in there, we need to have that in there, we need to have that. Because honestly, in this film, you have, the meet cute between Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt's character, where they act like they don't really like each other, that actually they kind of do. At the same time, though, you have the moment when they don't really get along initially, but then Dwayne Johnson's managed to, swerve away Emily Blunt's opinion, and managed to get on the boat and managed to get on the Jungle Cruise all the way to go and find out what was going on there. And at the same time, we have Jack Wilder's character, maybe the comic relief in the whole situation, and then at the same time, we have Paul Giamatti's character, who's the person you're trying to stop Dwayne Johnson's character from going on his adventure and everything, trying to stop him and trying to be the person who's trying to stop Dwayne Johnson's character. But then we also have Jesse Plemons' character, being the evil German villain there, who has to try and stop Emily Blunt's characters. We have all these hindrances going on with Paul Giamatti and Jesse Plemons the other guy, and then we also have these, this big CGI character who's meant to be the cute cat and everything. But oh my god, it's too CGI because Disney had this big obsession with CGI now, and then we have it doesn't even make any sense anymore because you just get my point. It just feels so overstuffed. The point we have to have this in there, we have to have this in there, we have this in there, we have this in there. There's so many things going on in this movie to the point that I just didn't care anymore. And by the way, I'm gonna give a big spoiler away here. So if you don't know anything that happens in Jungle Cruise, do turn away now. But in the end, this is not a Marvel movie, it's not a DC movie, it's not a Star Wars movie. I'm not gonna give away anything big in particular. It's Jungle Cruise in the end. It's really not that big of a film. So anyway, I'm going to give a big spoiler away for Jungle Cruise now. So if you don't know anything about this film, I do apologise. Here is your big spoiler warning. Spoilers. But basically, there's a twist with Dwayne Johnson's character when you find out that he can't die. What is the point in that? What is the point in having that twist with Dwayne Johnson's character? Because it literally takes any stakes away from the rest of the film. Honestly, when that twist happened with Dwayne Johnson's character, I literally just zoned out in this image for I don't care anymore. Because there's no stakes with that character. I hate when films do that and say, well, character can't die because there's no stakes with that character anymore. I just sat there for most of the film thinking, well, Dwayne Johnson can't die, so there's no point in being in, big dangerous situations. And it's just like, really? And honestly, it's bland, it's boring, it's messy, it's so overstuffed. I mean, oh my god, it's unbelievably overstuffed. Oh my god. It really annoyed me, just things like that. I'm a sucker for a good action adventure movie, and I sat there really disappointed through most of the film, and I'm just amazed by some of the decisions were made and how bored I was. It's so messy, it's so stupid, it's got a big CGI cat in there, which is obviously CGI. There's some clear use of CGI in this film, which is really baffling me because it's a big budget Disney movie, and at the same time though, it's got its perks. I think the performances are fun, I think, the filmmaking isn't bad and everything, and in fact, the guy who made this film is actually going to go make Black Adam, the new DC Dwayne Johnson film coming out next year, which I'm quite excited for. So I do think the filmmaking is actually quite good. I don't think the problems of the film, apart from the editing actually, which I'm not the biggest fan of, apart from the editing of the film, I don't think the problems of the film really follow anything to do with the filmmaking. I think the problems of the film are more to the script and the screenwriters of the film trying to get all these things from all these big action adventures we've previously seen for into the film. Like, gonna have the love interest, gonna have the overseas Jack cat, we got a big, it's really annoying me. But anyway, yeah, you get my point. I'm not the biggest fan of Jungle Cruise. I didn't actually think I'll get as ranty as I did in this review, but there you go. I don't know if you guys actually made sense of my rant at one stage, but Anyway, you get my point there. I'm not the biggest fan of Jungle Cruise, but in the end, if you are, I'm happy for you. But personally, I felt really disappointed by this film, and it just felt like Disney were trying to make their big action adventure of the summer, and honestly failing miserably. And instead, I think the best action adventure of the summer, if we're going to call it that, but I think the best action adventure of the summer goes to the Suicide Squad instead. Honestly, it's a much better movie, the Suicide Squad, and in the end, Jungle Cruise massively disappointed me, which I really didn't want it to. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Jungle Cruise, I'm going to say it's a 4 out of 10. Honestly, in the end, I barely got anything to say about this film anymore. I went a bit crazy in the review, more crazy than I thought I was going to. But, you get my point. I don't like Jungle Cruise. Oh well. It's, you know, it's got some perks in there. It's not terrible. It's not one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I don't even think it's one of the worst movies of this year. But honestly, I love a really good action-adventure film. And, you know, Jungle Cruise wasn't that. Jungle Cruise wasn't a really good and really fantastic action-adventure film. In the end, it was an action-adventure film which felt like it was trying to do too much in too little time. It really was. And I think that's where the film suffered overall. Trying to overstuff all these things in there, which I've already talked about, and just not really working in all those aspects and everything. And at the same time, though, just having so many nods for all these other films, but not in a good way. Not having a nice nod in there, instead having a blatant copy in there, to the point that I just sat there thinking, I want to watch Indiana Jones over this. I want to watch Past Copying over this film. And honestly, I just didn't want to feel that. In the end, I think Jungle Cruise is disappointing because it tried to do something it's not. In the end, Jungle Cruise should have been its own thing, like Pirates of the Caribbean is, and instead not try and copy it for all these other films. And I think that's where the film suffers overall. In my opinion, it's bad, it's not terrible, but from someone, like I said before, who's a sucker for a good action-adventure film, that's not what Jungle Cruise was, in my opinion. And so, for that reason, I'm going to say that Jungle Cruise is a 4 out of 10 for me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Jungle Cruise? Please do comment down below, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and subscribe on this video, and I'll see many more both film and TVs come very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now, bye!